How is everyone doing? So, Strength Chat episode 70, and today I have got a very special guest for you. Today I am joined by the founder of the award-winning Commando Temple gym, Rob Blair. How are you doing?
Mate, I'm really good. Great to see you sat in your pants. I know the listeners can't see it, but trust
anyone
me.
on Spotify and iTunes, head over to YouTube and you'll get an experience me sat in my pants. What have you been up to? What have you been working on? What's been happening?
I think the biggest thing that we've been doing collectively at the Commando Temple is, for those guys that don't really know what we do there, I'll say that we're pretty unique in the way that we've got this multifaceted strength space. So we've got the kind of things that, Steve, you'll be familiar with: powerlifting, Olympic lifting. We've got strongman there, elements of those, calisthenics, gymnastics, kettlebells, mace training, grip sports, old-time strongman. Lots of things that it's just making me smile even thinking about them. But then we've also got a fight club attached to it, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Thai boxing, MMA, and boxing. Very rarely do you see, some people might refer to it as an old school strength gym with a martial arts academy bolted on. But actually I see some of those as being the most useful things that we can do as human beings, not just for confidence and just being level-headed, but just feeling bloody like an absolute machine. If you talk about wanting to rehab yourself and to take yourself back down to your core, well, I see some of those things that we now offer in the gym at a high level as being really bloody useful for that.
Yeah.
On a personal level, and I'll make it all about me for the next 30 seconds, I've just finished my Mountain Leader accreditation, which is an award which has been around since 1964. It's one of the original ones done by the BMC in the UK, and that's taken me 3 years. Probably been chatting for longer than 30 seconds, but just so you know, I feel like getting down to my pants as well as celebrating. So really
nice.
bloody good.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. One of my closest friends, he's on the lifeboat. 'Cause I'm originally from up near Whitby, and him and one of my other friends, who's a tree surgeon, they actually looked into the mountain course, and yeah, when they looked into it, it is actually it's pretty tough.
Right, it's in depth.
Yeah.
I think the average time to pass that thing is 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And leaving London to get to Snowdonia, the lakes, or any area of Scotland, you're looking at a minimum of 6 hours.
Yeah.
So leaving the wife, leaving the dog, leaving the business, all of those things, obviously, a huge commitment.
Yeah.
But then actually putting in quality time with anything takes a huge amount of resource in your brain and energy.
Yeah.
Whether that physical or emotional. So to actually get that done and dusted, it just feels fantastic. And it's the thing that's just ticked off now.
Yeah, so, nice.
Yeah.
So where will that mean you'll be based around London then for that course? Where will you be set up then?
I will live in London. We will look to have a base somewhere in the middle ground. So that might end up being somewhere around the Peak District, but travel from there.
Yeah.
But nobody really knows what's going on in the background of a new company that I'm forming, which is called Mammoth Exploration. I mean, their logo is absolutely savage. Just think of a mammoth wanting to trample all over your decrepit body, but then to scoop you up and take you up a mountain is that kind of logo.
Yeah.
The kind of thing that people probably expect from Commando Rob. And I want to take people from the cities that they might, resemble a bunch of savages in brain and body, or maybe they got 50% of that equation. And I want to take them into our natural parks and green spaces, which I've done since leaving the Royal Marine Commandos in 2008. So for 11 years, I've been doing, horrible cretinous challenges, taking them up on mountains. But now I can do it with all the bells and the whistles, the best insurance possible, and, one of the best accreditations possible as well. So I feel that now this is the most legit set of circumstances that I can have to be able to take my clients and others into those areas.
Oh, nice. Look, some things to look forward to in the future. Then I'll look out for that. Just going back to the Commando Temple gym. How many instructors work there? Is it just yourself? I know there's a couple of other instructors that work there as well. What sort of the setup like with the coaching?
Yeah, sure. We've got 14 instructors.
Oh wow!
So those 14 instructors that we have, typically, well, the model that I've created. I mean, nobody's real. I'm not bloody Jesus or God. I mean, I'm not creating something it hasn't done before. But in the gym, I think it makes a lot of sense that if you respect your coaches and you value them, that you don't let them have to fight for leads that come into the gym or have to try and trample on somebody else's parade. Yeah. So I have one main Olympic lifting coach. I try to have one main powerlifting coach, one main strongman coach, strongwoman coach, calisthenics coach. And when you actually start lining everything up, and recently we've now got an aesthetics coach and a parkour coach.
Okay.
You know, each of those guys, they can run their own temples within the Commando Temple and attract a community. Now, when you've got all of those communities hanging around together, again, it's a very unique animal. And I'm always joking with people, actually, I feel like a zookeeper, or the ringmaster, where I've got like a whip in one hand and a chair in the other. And if you're not a little bit crazy and unhinged yourself, you know, all of these alpha males and females that run those things, and rightly so, they need to be a little bit alpha to you know, get everything lined up.
Yeah,
it's just, you know, it's just a crazy place where really good shit happens.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that you know, a little bit of madness keeps everything a little bit more interesting. I think if everything was clear cut and straight down the middle, it'd lead for a little bit of a boring life. I like a little bit of madness and craziness, which is quite.
One of the head calisthenics coach we got there, Fitz, who's pound for pound strong ape himself. He puts it best, I think, when he says that we seem to attract a lot of freaks and geeks. And you know, I like to think that I'm a little bit of both, but I'm probably more geeky than I am freaky. So I was definitely the guy that growing up had top trumps and went fishing, rode a bike, played Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons, all that type of stuff. And then since joining the Marines, where I was 18, 19, kind of moving forwards, I've gradually, I suppose, people have tried to suppress the geekiness and add more freakiness. But actually, I think both are bloody cool. You can have a lot of fun doing that. That type of act. Why the hell would you want to come across like a completely straight-laced, level-headed person? I am not somebody that tries to sit somebody on a couch and talk to them in a monotone voice whilst we debate their life. That is the complete opposite of what I do. I like to talk to people like human beings and renovate the fuck out of them. That's what I aim to do. And whether that's
key thing from there is speak to people as humans. I think everyone's got a small dosage of craziness and madness in them. And an example is a person that I was training came in quite sort of shy, subdued, and I sort of set it as my goal to bring out their quirkiness, bring out their own personality. And now in sessions, they do have that little bit of quirkiness, but it makes it more fun. I think people will feel a lot more natural just to basically be themselves. You don't have to suppress that, as you say, the geekiness or anything like that.
It's amazing that, isn't it, when you do that with people, how you can get the most from them because they feel comfortable. It's not bloody rocket science, but you know, some people, I'm not even going to say some coaches, because we have relationships with our clients, whereas I also have a different relationship with my partner. I have a different relationship with the man on the street. But if there's good mutual respect between both parties, and that doesn't need to be, you know, anything beyond just being friendly and showing them that you're interested in who they are, you will get a huge amount out of your life and from your relationships with people than what somebody who just quite simply doesn't have the energy, drive, or can't be asked to have that interaction.
Yeah, it's
You
funny.
have to be interested.
Yeah, it's funny. Me and another coach that works at the gym that we work at. We were actually having this conversation before, and he runs he's called Matt Cook, and he runs the sort of athletic performance side of things. He works with quite a lot of team sports players, and we've got a track outside the gym, and there is a guy that works there. I want to call him a groundsman, but he's not really a groundsman. He works around the dock and looks after the buildings and the surrounding area. And without fail, as soon as he walks around, he'll always make an effort to come up. How are you doing? How's your day feeling? Oh, what's going on here? And to be honest with you, well, now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel a little bit bad. Really, I don't even know the guy's name. I don't even know what he's called. But we were just saying that sometimes people will come into the gym, or people will be walking around the gym, and I think sometimes it's quite easy to not say, "Oh, how are you doing? How's your day been?" or anything, and like you say, build that relationship. But this guy, he walks around the dock. He must know everyone in the dock, in the area, and it'll be, yeah, I'm one of them. There you go. You've just made me own goal. I'll find out his name this week.
Well, that guy there is making himself useful for people by just showing that he's interested in who they are and what they're doing and possibly why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of coaches, they might have all the bloody GCSEs known to man, but they just haven't got the emotional intelligence to be able to interact with people. Yeah. And that's such a shame, because I think that's the kind of thing that's actually harder to learn, is being able to have a quality conversation with somebody and actually make them laugh or make them feel free-spirited enough to chill out.
Yeah.
Whereas education that you can get from books, resources, I was going to say CDs then. Showing my age now, I'm 38 this month. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that takes a while. I make a point, and my wife often gets embarrassed, where at the checkouts of the local supermarkets that we go to, I'll want to talk to the checkout man or woman that's there and actually have a conversation. And the less they want to talk, I'm a bit of a monkey like that, the more I ask questions. Because I think it's just healthy for people. I mean, they're sat there doing a job, and I want to be able to interact with the person instead of them just feeling like they're a lump of plastic sat on a chair pressing buttons. Not what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. For everyone listening who might not necessarily know how you got to set up the Commando Temple and obviously get to the position you're in now, do you just want to give a little bit of a background to yourself?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier on, in 2008, I left the Royal Marine Commandos after 8 years service. I joined at, I believe it was 18 years of age. I left at 26. After 5 or 6 years of being in the Royal Marines, I ended up getting a double disc herniation in my lumbar spine. I was selected to go Corps Commission at the time. I had really good reports to be able to go for PTI. All of those things were my destiny as a young man. And I had to quickly decide what I was going to be doing with my life. I decided that actually, if I'm going to have a future where I had to look after my own physical vessel, and I know that if I'm training well and I feel like I'm connected to my physical presence, my physical being, that psychologically that has a huge impact on my mood, how I respond to people in situations, I decided to go into the strength, rehab, and fitness industry.
Okay.
And in 2008, when I left, I spent the first 4 years operating from the back of my 110 Defender Land Rover. I ply-lined it all in the back, kettlebells, Bulgarian bags, sandbags, operated from the beautiful Royal Parks in London. London's actually a very green space if you just take the time to find those areas.
Yeah.
And for 4 years, whether it's winter time, 6 in the morning, bloody 9 p.m., it didn't matter. People would rock up and go and train, or have injury and rehab from me at all times of the day and all seasons.
Okay.
From there, my reputation grew to be able to form the Commando Temple. And the Commando Temple, I got the keys late 2012. Really, it was opened up in May 2013. Since then, I've just been on an absolute mission to grow it. And in the areas that I'm only one person, you know, I can do this job as a zookeeper really well and try and inspire other coaches and clients to come and join us. But I needed a group of badass Avenger style coaches to join me. And I'm really pleased to say that year on year, I seem to be doing that. And like I said, recently with a parkour guy and now the aesthetics coach, I've got a really good female powerlifting coach that's just joined us. I feel pretty honoured to be able to run that facility. Scary and intimidating in times, I won't lie. I'm like the ex-Green Beret, meant to be steely-eyed stealer of death. But yeah, it's a place that I continue to walk through the door and feel inspired to be better myself.
Awesome. So did the Commando Temple, did you just start off by yourself, or and how did you sort of progress to get the 14 coaches that you've got now?
Sure. Well, actually, that's a side that I haven't covered for a long time. But the Commando Temple almost fell on its sword right at the start. Right. And without getting too in depth, I originally had another coach that I was inclined to want to bring that person on board to be able to help me set up and run the facility. Mm-hmm. This was a person that they were originally a gym instructor working out of a local gym. I then said to them, actually, you're too bloody good to work as a gym instructor in that local gym. So why don't you do more of your stuff outdoors and in the parks? And then over, I think it was about a year and a half, 2 years, that coach then started to do more and more work alongside me, building up towards the Commando Temple, which was always my vision, always my goal. I wanted that person to come on board as a director. And fortunately, now looking at it, something happened at the time that didn't go very well with that person. Right. Again, I can't go into it too much because there are personal relationships involved around what this thing was that stopped that connection happening. Yeah. And in the end, after the gym was right on the cusp of, shit, I need to make a decision whether I do this by myself or if I bring this person on board fully fledged as a director, I decided to cut that person out like a cancer. You know, that's a horrible way of putting it, but that's basically what it was. It was like crippling the business. Right. And as soon as I did that, the business started going from strength to strength. And I was absolutely gutted at the time to do that. I was absolutely gutted. Yeah. But a year later, after doing that, and I took it back to me being in charge of my destiny again, it's now continued to grow, say, year on year. Yeah. That was one of the hardest things that I've had to do within that business. As far as setting the thing up is concerned. Yeah. But I tell you what, the learning curve that you get from being able to overcome something that is absolutely brutal on the mind, it gives you a formidable spirit to be able to say, you know what, this thing I'm dealing with at the moment is fairly shitty, but it is nothing compared to that level 9,000 stuff that I dealt with a few years ago or 6 months ago or last week. Yeah. Perspective is everything. Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about injury prevention or trying to get the most out of yourself after you've suffered a serious niggle. Yeah. Well, the most serious niggles that my clients have are ones of the brain, not of the body. And they're very much interlinked anyway. But if somebody has a physical soft tissue or hard tissue problem, then their brain just feels like a whipped animal. So for me, being able to sit down with them and find strategies, commonalities that might work for them that make them feel empowered again, that's really important.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. My old, I don't play as much rugby now, but I also remember my old rugby coach used to say, you learn, you know, because sometimes when you walk out and you lose a game, all right, you know, it's a different side of things from a sporting point of view. But I think the carryover is still into sort of real world life as well. You do learn more from a defeat, if you like, than everything going smoothly. And yes, you know, going back to, you know, working with clients, shitty things will happen to them, but it's how you respond from that and bounce back. And obviously from the gym being successful year on year, you've learned from that bad part, if you like, and then progress from there to have Commando Temple what it is now, which is from the things that I've seen, which is awesome.
Small incremental changes, or this kind of like this linear approach to like success, whether it's within a training program that you're following from an S&C coach, or if you're looking at the money in your bank account, it's gradually going up month on month on month on month, or your relationship, after getting married was going up, and you're like, wow, I love you more every single day. This is an amazing experience. How many people have lives like that? We're not the bloody Kardashians. We're not programmed with a load of A, B's and C's to say that everything is going to keep getting better. If you want those things to improve, you've got to be able to analyze yourself, and that analysis of what you're doing in those various forms of life, it's got to be an honest reflection of what you've done, where you currently are, where the hell you want to be.
Yeah.
And if you can't have that honest reflection of what's been going on and why something might not have worked out very well, then you need to employ somebody to help you. And that employee doesn't mean paid. That could be a friend or a family member.
Yeah.
I mean, that person, you've invited them to be able to help you. That's the main thing. Really, you don't give advice to somebody if you can help it unless they ask for it. Because otherwise, you're that shitty coach who I'd say running on the side of a treadmill. I only have a ski erg and a salt air bike in my training facility. I don't have running machines because, there's tarmac outside if people want to do that.
Do you know what? What you've just said there. So I work at Primal Gym in Leeds, and we don't have treadmills. And what you've just said there, I was showing a guy around. I was showing a guy around last night. Obviously, he's come in, wanted to give the gym a go, and walked upstairs, which is where our all of our combat stuff is done upstairs, and basically all of our conditioning, sort of calisthenicsy area is upstairs. Oh, so where's your treadmills? No, we don't have treadmills. What do people do before treadmills? They run outside. Oh, right. And I just find it funny every time that that people ask. You don't need treadmills. My brother, he was in the army, and he came out. He ended up having he's actually on about going back in, joining back up into the RAF actually. But he's of the mind that he'd rather run outside than run on a treadmill, just because. Yeah, I just find the thought of just on a treadmill, not actually doing anything, I just find just mind-numbingly boring. I wouldn't want to just stand on a treadmill. But when you offer them the alternative of the different types of conditioning and that sort of stuff, they enjoy it. They don't have to rely on the treadmill.
Well, the treadmill, I think the most useful application for it in a training facility, well, depending on the facility, if you've got a commercial gym, then having treadmills makes a lot of sense. You've got lots of mice in one big cage on these wheels that go round and round and round. So you can fit people into a really nice, comfortable, tight package space. And then, you can fit 50 people on those bloody treadmills in a space where you've got a 512 kilo tire being flipped around. Now, you probably could have had 8 treadmills there. So what's useful? That one person flipping the tire for profit, or the 8 people on treadmills? Well, guess what? We don't have hundreds of millions of pounds like Pure Gym do, but we do have these strong, enthusiastic creatures that rock up, that become long-term friends of the gym and the coaches, because they know that we're not there just trying to rape their pockets of every single pound that they have. Yeah. And commercial gyms look very different to what your gym and my gym look like.
Yeah.
But that's because we're after strength, fitness and performance rather than necessarily looking at profit. Profit is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love it when we've had really good months where I go, I'm going to renovate the gym. I don't need to renovate the clients at the moment because they're helping me renovate the bloody gym.
Yeah.
And then we can start putting things out there to show people that we care about making sure that everything, if it does break down, and that does happen, we fix it straight away.
Yeah.
So if you've got a product that's working really well, people will want it. And the more you tell people that you've got it, or other people, even better, tell their friends that you've got it, even better still. Because word of mouth and referral is got to be the most powerful thing that you're ever going to receive having a small business.
Yeah.
Going back to treadmills, I think the most useful time that a treadmill could be in a gym would be where you've got a treadmill and you're able to do things like gait analysis and really slow shit down, having a look at the way that an athlete is moving. Because we do deal with people that go out and run, and we deal with people that actually analysing those things is very important. So I've been looking at possibly getting, I call it Gucci, but this bloody treadmill must be about 4,000 quid. I mean, I know that people that take the mick out of us, we don't have showers in our training facility. So I'm like, the amount of space to be able to get a block of showers in there, I could get A, B, and C going on. So at this point, I still haven't created shower space. But if I have a treadmill in there that costs £4,000, it will be solely for people wanting, or one of the coaches to do gait analysis on, to be able to help them move and improve. Or it'll just be on a pace where I stick it on a bloody incline and I replicate that savage walking up a mountain, blowing out their backside, possibly with a pack, because I do deal with a lot of people that go up mountains, they do expeditions, or they join the military.
Yeah.
I'd love to get a stepper in there. I'm not talking about the one where you literally just like your feet are going up and down. I'm talking about where it's revolving cycling thing. But again, those things.
Is that the one where it's got like a little bit of a ladder, the one where your hands on as well?
But that one's the Jacob's ladder. So the Jacob's ladder is a pretty decent one.
Yeah.
But those commercial bits of equipment, they cost so much money compared to, I could get 8 Eleiko bars for the kind of money that we're talking about getting one of those bits of equipment. So the icing on the cake in a really strange way is I might get 1 or 2 bits of commercial apparatus only because I want people to have very sport-specific reasons for using it. Yeah. Stepper for mountain use and the running machine for gait analysis. Yeah. Not because I want my clients in a corner.
Yeah. Would that be one of the, because again, me and one of the coaches at Primal, is that one of the curved treadmills? Would you be getting one?
G-Trainer.
Yeah. One of them in there's another gym in Leeds that I've been to working on that. And in terms of like sprint mechanics and all that sort of stuff, I'm more on the side of the strength training and that aspect of training. But again, Matt, who runs the athletic performance, we have spoken about that in terms of running mechanics. That's a little bit better than the standard treadmills, if you like.
Yeah. So if you were going to record somebody's foot strike and you were going to do it outside over 20 meters, there's very little. You know, there's only so much you'd be able to really analyze that. Whereas if you stick them on a treadmill and replicate it as much as possible, I mean, that's what we're dealing with there. We're dealing with what percentage amount of change you're going to have from tarmac to the best, almost, if one for a better word, which I'm not normally a fan of, but functional, because people understand what I mean by that, a functional running machine. Yeah. So looking at the way that the foot is hitting it, then you can slow that right down and give that person the best possible feedback for what trainers, what strength on the skeleton they need to start harboring, and maybe some of the things that might be causing their knee pain, lower back pain, bloody headaches when they run, shoulder discomfort. So slowing all of that down would be very useful, not having 20 people running on it just because they want to work on their thermic effect of getting some tight abdominals, because that I don't really give a shit about. You know, that I can have a lot more fun with my clients if that's what they wanted, rather than sticking them on the treadmill whilst I tap away on bloody WhatsApp or something else that, you know, you see some coaches doing. Yeah. Again, you can probably, I'm not a fan of that either.
I'm sure there's that's the first tangent of the podcast. I can tick treadmills off there.
I'm not going to go on too many of them because I hate slagging people off. You know, I see that as a form of bullying, whether it's on a podcast or online social media. I can't stand bullies online, and that's where I'd usually try and be a bit of a vigilante myself and stick up for people if I see it going on. Yeah. And if somebody comes on and tries to slate my methods, then I'm happy to be there all day, and I'll just have tubes getting pumped directly into my bloodstream whilst I'm still typing away, just making sure that person understands that they've been a bit of a numpty.
Yeah.
You know, and I won't leave my desk until the tubes run dry. Actually reminds me of that scene in Seven where they find that guy who's like on his deathbed and he's just been kept alive, just like, oh, this guy's never experienced so much physical pain in his life. I'd be doing it for pleasure.
So obviously one of the, and you touched on it there, about is it the herniated disc in your spine? Yeah.
Yeah, L5S1, and actually I've had the one above as well. So L4, L5, both of those discs have prolapsed, and I've got a little bit of facet joint wear and tear there as well. So there's a few things going on. Some of the names that they give these things, like lumbar disc disease, you know, it's a tagline that doctors and surgeons will give the thing that I have. That's one of the things. But I don't really like to use those tags, because even saying that, it kind of like sends a bit of a cold chill running up your spine. You're like, bloody hell, is that really what I've got?
Yeah.
But basically what it means is that all of our bits within our body have got a shelf life, including our brain. And sometimes, whether it's the way that you were formed from birth or within the womb, and the strength sports that we do, or for me, the activity that I did in the Royal Marines for 8 years, those things, they can accelerate a possible occurrence that might have always happened. And pain, discomfort, the way that you move, the way that you feel, all of that feedback that you get prior to the injury, that's where you can either be lucky enough to know a coach that goes, you know what, I think maybe you need to work on these things, because some people might call it prehab. But basically we're talking about, if you see a client that's got an issue, or if you know that person is going to be joining the Royal Marine Commandos, or that person is going to be a semi-professional footballer, then a lot of those people might suffer that type of mechanical injury, knee pain, ankles, backs. So we're going to do all of this strength training to make sure that that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah.
So if you take an 18-year-old soldier or wannabe soldier, and then you put a big pack on their back and you get them doing loads of horrible, hard, cretinous activity, well, guess what? I mean, you are possibly accelerating the way that that person's body might start to break down.
Yeah.
And I would never change what's happened to myself, because actually I am now I'd like to think, a fairly rounded, good example of what you can do to rehab yourself and to be able to help others from a set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And I also, if I'd stayed in for 20 years, God knows what I would have been like. My personality, I mean, I would have been unstoppable on so many levels, but I probably wouldn't have been able to interact with females, for starters, because the Royal Marines is like a massively male-dominated environment. And some of my best friends now were female. You know, that would be unheard of for me 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And my nickname in the Royal Marines was Colonel Blair, because I was like, really, we're going to do it this way. It's this way or no way. It's always my way. And I mean, that was as a corporal. Imagine what it'd be like if I actually was a colonel. It'd be absolutely terrible. So I think the best thing has probably happened on the world, that I left and I decided to become a more rounded individual.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, from getting injured and hurt, and I'm now in this industry, oh, it's so bloody good. Yeah. And if I lost, let's say, 30 or 40% of my potential at the time of being able to operate really well mechanically, I never lost 100% of my strength, my skill and my ability. And I certainly never had all of it at that early age of 26 either. So I've just been scraping away, getting back and developing the areas or the skills that I never had at that early age in my 20s. Yeah. And now, as a strength and rehab coach, well, I'm really interested in that. I mean, I'm sniffing them out like a bloody pig trying to get at the truffles, making sure that I've got that information. I hang around with the best people. I'm talking to you about what it is that I want for my life. I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested openly in wanting good information, hanging around with the best people, and my clients benefit and our members benefit, because You know, they know that we've overcome that adversity. That's a really endearing thing that people want to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're chatting about getting back and rehabbing from that injury, I think from there, I think we touched on it a little bit, before we started this podcast, is sometimes when people have an injury, they think, oh no, that's it, that's the end of it. That's it. I'm not going to be able to do. I can't do this. I can't do that. Whereas, actually it isn't, and you're the prime example, if you like, that you can get back to where you were before, and even maybe surpass that. I think too often, and again, we touched on it a little. You touched on it a little bit there. That yes, you might have that physical injury, but in your head, in your mind, if you like, that might just you might already be beaten before you even give your body the chance to repair itself and recover, rather than just being resigned to the fact that no, you're not going to be able to do that. And an example is when you mentioned there about being able to give benefit to your clients of what you've done. I've never had, apart from a couple of injuries with rugby, I've never had actually that many injuries. But especially this year, I hurt my back in December. Yeah, start of December, and I was going to compete at the start of this year. And sometimes when people have had injuries before, I've always been a little bit reluctant, if you like, because I always felt it was a little bit outside of my knowledge base, and I wasn't always 100% sure. But since I hurt my back, and the more I spoke to the physio, and the more I read, and the more I learned, and speaking to other coaches, my goal this year was, if people are injured, right, let's not focus. Obviously, you can't do this, but let's focus on what you can do. I think how I've improved as a coach, and the relationship that I've been able to build, with clients. Keep going out there learning, and ultimately, exactly what you've said, it's going to benefit. It is going to benefit your clients at the end of the day, and you can build that relationship a little bit more, knowing that you've been in a situation where it's not the best situation in the world because you've had an injury, but you can progress from there.
Walking through fire is a really useful thing to do sometimes. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of feedback from doing that, and you learn what probably you should be doing less of. Mm-hmm. So niggles and pain is just another form of feedback that we can take on board and hopefully learn from.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for some people, they really do need to remember that Winston Churchill quote of, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, you're saying, they will want to give up, and they will want to stop everything that they're doing. Somebody hurts their knee, they stop all of their physical training, mm-hmm. rather than deciding that actually I'm made up of all of these other limbs. There are various other body parts that I can train and develop at the moment, whilst I let this thing settle down, or I get the right support, physical and emotional, to be able to overcome what's going on.
Yeah.
And sometimes scans can take 4 to 6 weeks. So people just put their lives on hold to do that. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Your scan gets cancelled, and maybe you've got to wait another 4 bloody weeks. So, thinking of things in slots of time of, oh, well, I'm going to give myself a break for a short period of time, and then it should be better. But what if it isn't better? Yeah. Wouldn't it have been much better at the start to sit down and go, well, I think I'm going to work on this other stuff whilst this happens, because managing what goes on within your life is so much more empowering and valuable than necessarily letting somebody else manage you, or a set of circumstances manage you.
Yeah.
So an injury is such a deep-rooted problem for some people, and it's simply because they usually haven't had a serious niggle before, so they don't know how to deal with it, or the niggle is so big that they don't know how to unravel it, to actually get to the component parts of how to start working it out, like a bloody Rubik's Cube. Mm-hmm. It is literally one step in front of the other, and it's trying to break it down into small bite-sized chunks. Funny old thing, diet and nutrition can be very much like that as well. Or programming somebody getting stronger, whether they're at the pinnacle or if they're just starting out. The good thing is that basics are basics for a reason. And if you end up getting the basics correct with your rehab, or with your diet and nutrition, or with your strength programming, with whatever exercise you decide to do, and for the sport that person's deciding they want to increase their athleticism in, then that's probably the most useful thing that you can start with clients. Making it really complex and difficult to work on changing your clients or athletes. I mean, I've seen recently, and people are so right. Are we doing that for ourselves as coaches? Or are we doing it to go out of our way to help our clients? Because what I see is a lot of people are trying to bloody become these snake oil salesmen by saying, actually, this is probably really important, and you need to buy my training program, or you need to do all of these things, and therefore your life is going to be so much better. Well, actually, is it? Or do you just need to work on the basics again? Because that is where you talk to more professional athletes, which we do at the gym, and all of those guys still work on their general physical preparation and their foundation more than anything else. When they need something sports specific, let's call it a strongman, then we might get people through the door just to be able to pick up some Husafell stones, a big lump of concrete, and run with it. They'll work on that sports specific thing. Do you honestly think they do Husafell stones every single week? And that's not what they're doing. They're making sure that they're pain-free, they're moving really well, they squat, deadlift, do a various amount of presses, and do some loaded carries. It's those basic components. That's what they're working on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Why the hell do you think it is that a lot of strongmen, pro strongmen, they also had a powerlifting background? Not bloody rocket science.
Yeah, when you mention that, it comes to that phrase of control the controllable. Don't worry about like you say, relying on what other people are doing, whether it be a scan or anything like that. I know sometimes, obviously, there's the foundational movements that everyone should be able to do. Let's regress it back. Let's do that some form of that movement that doesn't cause you pain or discomfort, because I think it's too easy to say, right, I've hurt my knee, I'm not going to do any knee extension or flexion exercises ever again. So, right, that's just crossed off a massive box that you're not going to be able to do. There is some form of that exercise that you can do, as long as it is pain free. And the funny thing when you're talking about the basics, sometimes I joke with the clients that I work with. Yes, it's boring, but get this stuff out of the way, and then you can do the stone carries or whatever it is. But you don't want to do the stone carry, injure yourself, and then have to work as hard as you can to get back to do that stone carrier. Then again, it must be I don't just want them fit for from a sporting point of view. I don't just want them fit for one game. I want them fit to play every weekend. I want them to play for years on end. I don't want them to just have that one that one big impact, or that one big in competing in an event and then be out for another X amount of months. I want them to be strong and competing, consistently. From your
imagine a world.
Say again.
Imagine a world where rehab was sexy, fun, and interesting. Everybody would want to do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or if people were working and ironing out their weaker points, that they found that really stimulating and exciting. Again, people would be in a much better state of play.
Yeah.
It's our job as coaches to be able to find methods, exercises, and ways that they can work on the stuff that they typically haven't enjoyed because of some kind of connection. Maybe they were punished doing a certain drill. Maybe it's just as boring as hell because you just worked on this really localized thing that nobody would find it interesting. But if all of a sudden you can stimulate the person to be able to experience personal growth, then that person is going to thank you as a coach, and you're going to feel like golden balls when you're rehabbing everybody and it feels really easy. But actually the main thing you've done is just you've let that person enjoy what they do because they feel like they can manage their own pain and expectations, and they want to keep doing it over and over. Yeah. So if you find the activity that somebody enjoys, the thing that is helping them overcome their pain, niggles, or improve their performance, then they're going to stick with you for a long time, because now you've given them something that they weren't able to do by themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously mentioning there that, you know, you want to have the client's best interests from a coach's point of view, and obviously being able to you know, build that relationship from the injury that you had as well, and, you know, relate to them. How has that influenced how you train people coming back from an injury, or just train people in general?
I have got a big movement background where I like people moving really well. Every single coach would say that. So to really hit that home, on the far left-hand side in the last few years, I have ran the Marathon des Sables, which is 250 kilometers in the Sahara Desert, done over 6 days. It's meant to be one of the hardest foot races on earth, 50 degrees. So I've done that. And on the far right-hand side, I've won competitions which would resemble old-time strongman, of snapping steel bars by moving them backwards and forwards, bending horseshoes, lifting up nearly 300 kilos on a pair of what we call meat hooks. I've got that on the far right-hand side. So if I wanted the far left and the far right to be able to sustain those things, I need to work on the middle, and the middle ground is my foundation of strength and quality movement. That means that I want my body to, you don't want to see a person walking down the road or running down the road and they look like they're running with a gammy leg. I mean, that's just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
You don't want the person that is doing a deadlift and they look like the pull is happening more from one side than the other. You know, when you're looking at basic things, you can see a lame dog. Everybody can see that. My granddad could see it. But the skill then is working out why that is happening and can you do something about it. So how's it affected me? If something looks wrong, it usually is.
Yeah.
And then you need to start becoming a master investigator of just giving them really basic tests to start analyzing what's going on.
Yeah.
Some of those movements might just be, could you show me a body weight squat? Not, I'm going to demonstrate a body weight squat and I want you seeing if you can do it. Because I know that a lot of strength coaches or might do that, but actually you've just taught them how to squat, and for years they were doing something different. Yeah. So see how the person moves first. Then if they don't do what you wanted, you could try and talk them into it. If they still can't do it, then you demonstrate it. Yeah. So get all of the feedback from them without you coaching them to be able to do it better to start with. Yeah. And then when you've actually got them doing those really simple skills, squat, hinge, push, pull, twist, rotate, bloody walk, you know, whatever you decide that your main primal movers are, or your main movement patterns for life. Some people would include swimming, climbing, running, and jumping in there as well. There are so many, but without clustering it too much, try to swear less, just in case I've got family listening. But you'll get a huge amount of information that you then dissect and work out what things here are the ones that are probably causing my client the most discomfort at the moment, or what could I change that will improve them the most? Which are the red light problems or areas that just don't look, smell, and taste right? Yeah. And if you can work on those big problem areas first, again, you're more likely to make the greatest amount of change in the short space of time. That could be a month, 2 months, could be a year. It depends what's going on. It might be instant. I mean, if you do that again, then you know you're not buying your own beer. You know, you get your client help you out, and deservedly so. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, I've been working education now for 11 years, and I've gone through enough pain and suffering to be able to help my guys out. So if they say thank you, I mean, I feel bloody great.
Yeah.
So giving people the basics, keeping tests really simple and effective to be able to work out what's going on is great. And actually just sitting down and gathering and harvesting a huge amount of information from that person is also very, very justified. What have you got going on? How's that making you feel? What would you like to work on? What do you think's holding you back at the moment? How's your diet and nutrition? How's your sleep? How are your relationships at the moment with work, your missus, your cat and dog? Whatever it is, you sit that person down and actually start being able to locate where the stresses are. Sometimes I don't care that they've got a cut knee. You know, oh, my knee hurts. Yeah, I can see there's a massive gash there. Yeah, my knee hurts. I can't see anything wrong, but there's just a bit of pain there. Okay, tell me what else is going on in your life right now. And when they start dissecting their life and you realize that they hate their job, you know, they're probably in a relationship that isn't working that great for them at the moment, or they don't know how to stop the massive amount of inflammatory response from the foods that they're eating, having a shitty night's sleep. I'm not interested in the knee anymore. I'm really interested in all of those other things, so that they can just give themselves a better rest and healing potential. Homework for me is key. I want you keeping a sleep diary, because your sleep is crap at the moment and I want to know how it's going on. Okay, buy yourself a Fitbit if you can afford it and just have a look at your sleep cycles. Sort your diet and nutrition out, because at the moment you're eating like a bloody teenager and you're telling me that you've got a load of pain in your body. Well, you know, I don't want that going on. You've got this crap relationship with work at the moment. Part of your homework is to go and sit and have a conversation with your boss and ask him for the pay rise, but you're going to tell him you deserve the pay rise because you're a solution maker rather than somebody who's going to give him a problem. A problem would be, I want a pay rise. A solution is, I think I deserve a pay rise because I've got these really good, effective ways of making the business earn more money. Guess what? You're going to get your pay rise. So I have those conversations with people, and a lot of those people then have less pain in their physical body because their central nervous system and their brain has got a better response to how they're enjoying their life and existence. And that is not voodoo. That's not me tapping into Jupiter and the rings of Saturn. That's just me looking at the bloody spitting obvious.
I completely agree with that. And what I thought was quite good from there is all those questions that you asked were never led with, so I think you should do this. I read this book. I'm a coach. I read this book, and we're gonna try this. All the questions are, how are you feeling? What do you think? How's your day been? One of the I pride myself on any client that I work with. I'll always ask how the day's been, because I like my sort of philosophy is that if they're coming into the gym, if they've taken time out of their day to come into the gym, it's because they want to. And I always like to think, you know, there's people that are working offices and, you know, they're getting badgered all the time and that sort of stuff. So it's an hour of their day or an hour and a half, whatever it is, where they're not getting pestered, where they're coming in and, how's your day been? How's everything going? How are you feeling today? Which I think is, you know, when we were talking before about when people are, you know, getting fit, when they feel comfortable, you're gonna be able to get the best out of them. And I think sometimes that is overlooked. And as well, when you're mentioning about how you're actually, you know, assessing people, make a squat. People sometimes laugh that, or make a joke that I can be quite jokey and have a laugh on the gym floor. But then when it'll come to actually coaching, if you like, oh, you've gone a little bit quiet. And I'll always say, right, show me what you think this exercise is. Show me what you can do, and then I'll go from there. And I think that is a big part of coaching, because I've seen some people come in, they show me a squat, they come into the powerlifting club, show me a squat, right, belting, let's put some weight on the bar, that is good. Whereas other times you need to watch, like you say, you've got to watch them a little bit and correct as you go, rather than, you know, giving them a whole load of spiel and them thinking, so what did you say again? What am I supposed to do again? And then it comes, you know, full circle round to, you've got to speak to them as a human and give them a little bit more, is credit the right word? Give them a little bit more credit, rather than thinking that everyone who comes in is just going to be rubbish. You know, I think you've got to give them a little bit of credit to make them.
What you're doing, you're empowering the person to feel good about themselves.
That's a better word.
And that empowerment that you're giving people there is going to be so much more beneficial, because they can carry that throughout their entire training session. They take it when they leave as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of people either talking to their training buddies or a coach talking to their client with any kind of negative connotations behind it. And what I mean by that is that if you were to say, after doing an assessment, yeah, these areas, they're not working very well at the moment, so we're going to work on this. Surely it would be better to say, instead of, oh, I can see that your glute med and min, they're a bit weak, so we're going to work on those things so we can get your gait a little bit better. It's going to be straighter. You're going to run without your foot going all wonky. And people come away and go, okay, well, the sides of my butt cheeks are a bit weak at the moment, and I don't seem to be walking or running very well, and I've got a wonky foot because of that. And people take away all of the negative criticism, because that's what it is to them. It's them getting feedback. It's like telling somebody that they've got a spot on the end of their nose. But instead of saying that you've got a spot on the end of the nose, why don't you just, as a professional, say, okay, well, I'm going to sort out your diet and nutrition. We're going to get you drinking a load of fluids. It's absolutely fantastic for the skin. I mean, you think of the skin as the biggest organ in the body, I'm going to make sure that it's just in the best possible shape. I'm not going to be talking and pointing at it and getting out a bloody pie chart to work out the size and make the person feel really insecure.
Yeah.
I mean, the person knows why it is that, you know, they're there in the first place. That's the reason why they got in contact with you. So if you've got somebody who's got pain in the body, what they want to know is what they need to do. They don't need to know what you think is a full breakdown history of where they're shit.
Yeah.
Because that isn't very empowering.
Yeah.
I just think that some people might say that because they're thinking, okay, well, I want this person to understand that I need them for 6 to 8 sessions so I can actually make a lasting change.
Yeah.
You would be better off saying that, and I do say that to some people on the phone before I've even met them. Well, how much might this cost? I'm like that, well, I've not even seen you move yet. I haven't given you all my various forms of paperwork to identify what you've got going on in your brain and your body. And I might be suitable, or one of my other coaches might be suitable. So how long is it going to take to rehab? I've got no idea. For some people, it might be 1 session. For some people, it might be a number of months or beyond. But just so you know, what I'm interested in if I'm rehabbing somebody is I want to be able to work on getting that person strong as hell back to their sport as quickly as possible. I'm not interested in having you as a remedial client for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, because you'd be bored of me and I'd be bored of you.
Yeah.
And the person's like that, you know what, I'd like to cut this man's jib, and he's just telling me how it is.
Yeah.
And because of that, as a reputation just being a straight shooter down the middle, again, we have a decent amount of clients that come through the door. And I'd like to say turn into long-term clients with maybe a gym pass or a gym membership, not as a one-to-one client anymore. Because they know how to use the gym,
Yeah.
they're pain-free, they know how to manage themselves.
Yeah. I think, you know, just being honest with people, it's a little bit like, you know, if people say, how long do you think it'll take me to do this? And I often sometimes think that people get bored of me saying, I'm not sure, because I have no idea, because I need to do X, Y, and Z assessment on you. I don't know your training background. You know, you need to spend time to be able to do that. Completely.
Well, you've had
agree with that.
You've had Dan John on your podcast. I mean, what's one of his favourite responses to nearly every question? It depends.
Yeah.
And that's one of his biggest responses. It totally depends. Of course it does. How long is this going to take? When will I get that level of strength? Is this going to happen after this training session? It depends.
Yeah.
I mean, for one, we don't have a crystal ball. You're going off your bias as a coach of how you've previously had interactions with clients, how you personally have had a set of circumstances happen to you in your life, what courses, coaches, and educational material have you found valuable. So, of course, I'm biased from all of those previous things. So then, of course, I'm going to be slightly out sometimes of how long I think something might take, or what response client A might have, because I'm thinking that that person is a completely different set of circumstances where their brain is. However, I can only go on what I've previously known, what I expect to happen based on the material that I have. So it depends is actually one of the most important things that you can say to your client sometimes. And instead of just leaving it there, oh, it depends. And then like that, okay, well, tell me, it depends on what would be a good idea. It depends on all of this. And then they're like that, you know what? I didn't realize that you were even taking those things into consideration. I thought I was here to do some squats and deadlifts. Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
Your sleep shit, your food's even worse, and this is going on. That's what I'm thinking in my brain. What I say to them is, actually, I'd like you to keep a food diary for 5 days. You're going to put everything down there. You're going to tell me what your mood's like when you've had them an hour up to an hour later. I want you letting me know the portion size. I want you taking some pictures, sending them to me at the end of every day. And I want to know, most importantly, why you ate that food at that time. Yeah. And they're like that. Eyes wide. Okay, I thought I was here to squat and deadlift. Well, you are, but you think you're squatting and deadlifting, just consuming your own flesh to be able to do it. You know, what are the building blocks of you doing it in the first place?
Yeah.
There's always a lot more behind the curtain than what people realise.
Yeah. I think some of the, you know, when you're chatting there about, you know, sleep and nutrition and all that sort of stuff, I think, yeah, that's often overlooked. There's a reason where there's another guy that I used to work with, and he said that's why sleep deprivation is a form of torture, because your body needs sleep. You know, the difference between people who have had a really good night's sleep, feel fresh, come into the gym, feel good, have a really good session, compared to those that sort of wander into the gym looking like zombies, you know, and haven't had a very good sleep. You know, the like you said before, the basics they need to be nailed. You mentioned as well that you know, if someone's got a cut on the knee, but saying, "Oh no, I've got a cut on my knee, I can't do this." But it might not be the cut on the knee that's the problem. It could be the other areas, like, right, how's your sleeping? How's stress? How has obviously being able to relate from the injury that you had, and obviously we've spoken about the coaching side of things. How has that influenced your mindset and how you go about changing other people's mindset?
You've probably got a fairly good representation of how I feel about myself and how I feel about my clients and coaches from this short podcast that we've had. I like to be a realist with what's going on, but I do like to get lots of small successes. I call them easy wins throughout the day, yeah, or throughout the year, throughout my life. You might end up taking big knocks, but actually, you know, it's unfortunate those things happen sometimes, and maybe you need a bit of support to get yourself out of the hole. But for most people, you can put a really good slow tiered structure in place of just easy wins. Mm-hmm. There's that really good video online where you've got the Admiral of the Navy SEALs talking to a load of new recruits, where he's saying you start your day by making your bed. And that's a really simple way of putting it. You know, you make your bed, it's an easy win. I'll tell you what, when I get back here sometimes, and my wife's just down the corridor, so I've got to keep my voice down a bit. But if I get back it's not very often. I've got to put that out there in case she listens to this. If the bed's not made and I wasn't the last person to leave, I'm like, all you have to do is just throw the duvet over. That's a really easy thing to do. It's like probably once every 2 or 3 months. But if somebody else in the gym can't put their clutter away in the gym, I see that as a problem. And if they're doing that in the gym, they'll probably do it in their life. They're doing it in their training plan. They're being lazy with their rehab. They're being lazy with their diet and nutrition. All of those little clusters that I'm looking at, the mindset can change if you just go, this is easy. This is easier. That's useful if I do that. I want people looking at it differently. I want people seeing things that might have been problems or niggles or sticking points as useful things to overcome to make them better. Yeah. And how do you instill that? Slowly. There's no trigger on people. I can't do a bloody Star Trek like the original Star Trek Generations where there's a character in it called Data. I remember an episode where they removed, or they gave him an emotion chip, and all of a sudden this android is like laughing and joking. I mean, imagine if I could just like bang that into human beings that I dealt with all the time, and they were like really light-hearted, didn't take things personally. They just got on and did everything that I wanted. We're not androids, but we certainly can have conversations with people. We can relate to them. And we can let them know that, you know, you want them to feel valued. You've got this valuable shit that they can do to make them better. Yeah. It's not rocket science, but it takes a lot of enthusiasm as a coach to do that day in, day out, with the best interests of your client, even though some of them occasionally can walk into the gym and, you know, they're acting like bloody Muppets. Yeah. So, you know, what do? You have to just bite your bullet and just say, you know what, you seem a bit wired today. What's going on?
Yeah.
Let me know what's going on behind that mask of bloody steel that you've come into the gym with. And after 5 minutes of conversation, you can then have another 55 minutes plus of useful information or useful training sessions.
Yeah.
How do they work that out themselves? Get a bloody good training partner.
Yeah.
Keep to a plan if you feel like you really need to. But if you don't want to work on a plan because it just feels too rigid, then just do something that you enjoy. Because the thing that you enjoy is the one you're going to do every day.
Yeah.
For some people, that's watching television. For some people, they might think that they're absolutely addicted to sleep. I would say that to most people that stay in their bed longer than 8 or 9 hours, it's because they're probably having crap sleep, and therefore they feel like they need to stay in bed longer. So it's not the fact that they're addicted to sleep, they're addicted to trying to get better sleep. So why don't you just work on trying to make the environment better?
Yeah.
So always looking at the quality of what we're doing and trying to make it more significant.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you're saying there about the easy wins, 100%, you know, you've got to take at least a couple of small wins from out the day. And when you're on about, you know, if people haven't had good quality sleep, or they've had a bit of a shitty day, and they come into the gym, right? Take that win as you've actually made it to the gym. You know, take that as a win. Okay, you know, we're not going to go for a PB deadlift or whatever. Let's do something like you say that you enjoy. And it's funny that you mentioned about making your bed. So my brother's 8 years older than me, and when he came back from his basic training, he when he came back to like my mum's house, he'd make his bed, and my mum was like, "Oh, brilliant! Oh, look how well you're doing making your bed," and I didn't. So my brother would be like, "Oh yeah, I've managed to make my bed." So now, even with my girlfriend now, I'll always make the bed on a morning if she's out and I've made the bed. "Oh, you've made the bed." I'm like, "Yes, today's going to be a good day."
A little ray of sunshine.
So obviously we've spoken about the coaching side of things, and speaking about people's mindset. And at the start of the podcast, obviously you mentioned that there is a wide variety of training methods at the Commando Temple. What has made you have so much different areas of different training methods, and how do you think that influences people to reduce the risk of injury and make them a little bit more robust, if you like?
There's a few points I could go into there, and I'm the master of tangents. So I'm going to try and channel my inner Buddha to be able to try and think clearly on each point.
Yeah.
So robustness and toughness is a completely different thing, and trying to channel a training program or a mindset to be able to do that is different. Depends on what kind of toughness we're looking at, or robustness. And looking back at the different things that we have in the gym to possibly create a more bulletproof human being so that they don't get niggles, pain, or dysfunction. They don't develop things that they don't want. I mean, that's basically the things that we're trying to avoid. So we want people to feel like they move really well, pain-free, for as long as possible, so they can become as strong and as conditioned as hell for life, of whatever it throws at them, and their sport. So when they walk onto the battlefield of the rugby pitch, football pitch, whatever it is, everybody just runs out of the way. So like that man or woman over there is like a rhino. If I get hit by that person, it'd be like getting hit by like what was Jonah Lomu. You know, he just turbocharges everybody out of the way. That doesn't happen very often because we do have people that get niggles and pain, and therefore it slows down their progress. But with the amount of things that we can do in our lives, the amount of sports, the amount of exercises, the amount of snake oil programs, what the hell do you do? I think some of it has got to be the things that when you know where you currently are and where you want to be or what sport you do, what's the thing in the middle? Yeah. And you need to see either a professional coach or you need to do a bit of background research on what other people have done. And then when you've actually kept one or two decent length training plans or programs or periods of time working on the stuff that you thought was useful, then you can start tweaking it to yourself. Yeah. If you've got injuries and niggles and pain originally, then obviously that's going to be one of the main players of what your plan or your structure looks like, because nobody can work on a really effective strength and conditioning plan if during the time the main thing that is or needs to be paid attention to is the injury itself. Yeah. So injury and pain and niggles, they are the most important things to overcome before you can really start expecting the client and the athlete to develop superhuman strength and to become an absolute monster. Yeah. If you're carrying chronic niggles and discomfort like I have done, then actually you're always, to a certain point, always going to be working in that foundation stage. Mm-hmm. But the things that we were coming back earlier on about where you're making your bed, well, I'm not going to praise somebody for making their bed or walking into the gym every single time, because I'm a little bit more like Simon Cowell that way. I'll praise something that I think is really bloody good. Yeah. So to start with, maybe it was good that they rocked up to the gym, but now I'd expect them to just take that on the chin and go, well, now you know that's good. I'm not going to keep rewarding it. Mm-hmm. Now it might be you did a really good back squat, and I'm going to reward you for doing it because I know you've had to rehab your ankles. And that person knows that, bloody hell, if Commando Rob is saying that's really good, then that's really bloody good. Yeah. And they can kind of like have a rubber stamp on it. Yeah. People know what's good for them when they've got injuries and pain because they feel better. Mm-hmm. They move better. They start shifting more weight because they're more consistent. And trying to say what it is that would work best for that person is impossible unless you know what they've got going on in the background of their life, yeah. How they are after a physical assessment as well, the way that their body is moving. What they want to work on will then determine what you do after you've had all of that information gathering process at the start. And it might change and it will evolve, like a lot of things have to, whether it's a business plan with your business or whether it's your planning for your client and your athlete. Of course, you're not going to stick to a really rigid plan. I had this conversation with a coach yesterday. I said, yes, sticking to a rigid plan can be very useful for people that need it. But what happens to a lot of people is that they're not professional athletes. They'll rock up to the gym and maybe they just shouldn't have done that rigid plan that day, but they thought, no, bollocks of it, I'm going to try and do it anyway. And they might hurt themselves, but they were just so neurally drained that they should never have gone anywhere near that, whatever it is that they were doing that was prescribed to them by their coach. And their coach isn't there all the time to handhold. So we're dealing with very enthusiastic people that want to be able to develop themselves in the best possible way in the shortest time frame. That's a difficult thing. Yeah. Following a plan is good. You've got to reflect on where you are and where you currently need to be. Yeah.
I think when you're saying there about the a structured plan, I think it's good to have a template and have an idea in mind, and depending on the person, when you're on about that middle ground, if you like, what's the foundations that you should be working on, the what's the word? The dosage of what I might give of the basics, depending on where they're at, can fluctuate between everybody. It's still going on in the background, but some people might have a lot more of it, and that's their main program. And a little bit like when you mentioned before about those stone carries, that might be the only different thing that they do. Whereas other people who might be a little bit more progressed, if you like, the amount of the dosage of the basics might be a little bit less, but still underlying in the background. And then again, it comes down to depending on that person.
My job as a coach is to reinforce the things that I think that person really needs above nearly everything else. Yeah. And to reinforce them doing it really well when I know that it was really hard for them to get the set of circumstances enabled to be able to do it. Yeah. So when that person knows that I'm interested and I've paid attention, then that person's more likely to work for you as well. And if you are the kind of person that has overcome misfortune, pain and problems yourself, they can look at you as a template, then again, they're more likely to respect what you're saying quicker. Because overcoming pain and problems can take, I say, it could take weeks or months. But if somebody knows that you've worked with people previously and overcome it yourself, then they might not need to be convinced that actually you can help them. So we're in a really valuable position there, especially if you've been in the industry for a little while over somebody who's just starting out, that you should have that previous training history and client history to say, I can do this with you. Just be resilient, pay attention, and be diligent with what you're doing, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think from the first part of that, if you like, all the topics that we've covered there, 100%. It's changing there, I think no, not changing. I think the best word that you used there was empowering them. Empowering clients and empowering the people that you work with. Just because, I think if you're having negative thoughts, if you're thinking that you can't do this, just showing people that they can and progressing and working with them and relating with them and building that relationship is a really powerful thing when it comes to coming back from an injury.
Try to avoid another professional or a friend or family member cattle branding you with a title that is the opposite, so that you'll carry with you for a long time. And if somebody, for example, says that you've got hypermobility, that somebody said to me recently, I was told this as a kid and that's why I got all of these issues, and then when I tested them for hypermobility, true hypermobility, they didn't really have it. Actually, they were just a fairly loose and supple person. They didn't have true hypermobility. So that person carried it around, and that person was then mid to late 30s. I mean,
wow.
Who the hell told him that? I mean, when you go and see a doctor and they say that you've got this thing wrong with you, why would you not trust the doctor? You go and see, you or me, Steve, and we tell our clients that they've got this problem. Why would they not trust and value us? They will trust and value us. So we've got to make sure that actually we're not part of the problem, and that we're able to help people improve without letting them know that there's an issue.
I think people need to think a little bit more about what they say. I'm not a big fan of when people say they have a dysfunction or anything like that, because it can be quite exactly the example that you used there of got told something as a kid. He's now 30 something, and he's spent all of his life thinking I'm hypermobile. It sort of takes away the amount of the potential for what he could have done, for what he could have done if someone had just actually tested him properly and been like, right, actually no, you can do this.
Have you heard this before? I've my doctor, my physio, or somebody has told me I've got a crumbling spine. I mean, I've heard people say that to me before, and when they say that, because maybe they have got like the onset of osteoporosis or something going on that that professional person working on behalf of that person's health has said, I just say to them, you've got a crumbling spine, bloody hell, you're doing well to even stand there then. Wow. And they're kind of looking at me and they smile and laugh a little bit. And then we talk about them not being made up of jammy dodgers. Their spine is made of something more robust than a Weetabix that's got a fingernail scraping at it. Because I'm that person when I was 26 that was told, you're never going to run again. You won't be lifting. You won't be doing this. You won't be doing that. It's just not a useful place to be. And half of those people that give us that advice, they don't bloody do any lifting, or they don't really go out there and adventure before they expire anyway. These guys, they should be moving more themselves, or have a decent interest in that person before they give that type of advice. I can't put all the blame on the way that we as coaches coach people sometimes, because I also know for a damn fact that some of my clients, when I ask them to give me a summary of the training session and what we've discussed, what the things were called, some of the summaries that I get back, I'm like that. You haven't heard me correctly, so let's go over that again. And I can't blame them for that either. Maybe that's the way that I've coached in that particular time, or maybe they've been blowing out their backside and not being able to take the information in.
Yeah.
So summarizing things to people, again, just giving that little bit of extra detail of what the important things are they need to take away. That's a useful exercise to do in itself, because otherwise they leave, and if you see them just a handful of times, then they say, oh yeah, Commando Robbie said this. And people that know me would say, this person must be talking rubbish. I can't imagine Rob saying that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I probably didn't. They just assumed that I was saying that.
Yeah.
An assumption is the mother of all problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, quite a lot of topics and tangents, and food for thought, if you like, on that side of things. The other thing that I wanted to chat about or cover is a topic that has I get asked quite a lot from people who first get involved in strength training, and the main thing is grip strength. So before setting up the podcast, I didn't realise that there were grip strength competitions or anything like that. So I don't know whether you get quite a lot of questions about this when people are coming into the gym, but first of all, how did you get involved in grip competitions, and what are some tips or advice for people who want to improve their grip strength?
So I got into grip sports and grip competitions, and there are numerous records for hundreds of different things to do with the world of grip. And I got into it because I was interested in developing a bone-crushing handshake that, if I was able to grab hold of an item, like you talk about being able to crush that thing to dust, like grab hold of a golf ball, and just to crush it in front of a man while he's watching, and then just kind of like get rid of the powder that's coming out of the bottom of your fist. And then that human being looking at you like, holy balls, what the hell have I entered into here? So I was brought up on things like the Beano and the Dandy. There's a guy in it that used to stand there, he's called Mr. Fitness, and he used to bend 6-inch nails in his pockets. And it must have looked a little bit creepy for standing in the line. But I remember the kid asking him, hey, Mr. Fitness, you can't be doing fitness right now. And he's like, no, actually I am. Because here I am bending this 6-inch nail one-handed in my pocket. And I'm like that, holy hell, that is really bloody good.
Yeah.
So when you got Desperate Dan as an idol, you kind of look at it and you go, well, how much of that is possible? And then as an adult, you've got more free will to search for those people that are kind of like a little bit like Desperate Dan in the nicest possible sense. And I came across David Horn. So David Horn has got his own Bible on grip sport. He's actually got the Gripopedia, which is several hundred pages. But he's seen as one of the godfathers of grip around the world. He's a true man of steel and strength. He's done arm wrestling, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, tug of war, old-time steel bending, grip sport. His wife as well, Elizabeth Horn, she is like one of the best female strength athletes for that particular neck of the woods. And now their kids are starting to get into jiu-jitsu, and they're starting to mangle people as well. So I think one of their kids, Lucy, who's 13, maybe 12 or 13, she's starting to compete with boys of the same age and starting to beat them up on the mats. She's won like world titles, European titles, and she has started doing a load of grip sport because the grip is so neuromuscular that if you develop a bone-crushing grip strength, like this multifaceted approach to being able to work your hand, wrist, and fingers, then that has a huge impact on the other exercises that you can do in your training plans and programs. You want to knock out some pull-ups? Great, jump on the bar. Oh, you're jumping off. Is it because your lats were fried out? No, my grip's gone. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, you're working on your double overhand deadlift. Oh, you're working double over deadlift for the competition. Oh, yeah, you put the bar down. Yeah, I didn't have my straps on. Oh, go mixed grip then. I mean, how many times do you see people that the grip is letting them down?
Yeah.
So instead of it letting you down, imagine now that when you grabbed hold of something connected to it, with a human being D, and you pull them in, and that person can't move, and you're looking at them like, I wonder what move I'm going to do to you now that you can't escape. You're kind of saying that to the barbell. You're saying that to the rod of steel that you're about to snap. You're trying to channel all of your effort into one particular part of the equipment or the apparatus and the event you're doing. And it is a very mindful way of being able to channel a shed load of raw power. You can probably tell the way that I've just increased the way that I'm talking to you. It's gone up, like, it's gone from 6,000 to 7,000 as I'm getting excited about it. Because it should be fun. It should be a really fun way of training as well.
Yeah.
And what I recommend for people to do if they want to improve their grip strength is, well, have you got a particular sport, or is the old, it depends. Have you got a particular sport or discipline or exercise that you currently want to improve? And then when I know which thing they want to improve, that will determine which element of grip, wrist and hand health or strength I get them to do. So if I wanted to give people a foundation of things to work on to improve their overall hand health and strength, I usually say to them that, yes, grippers are really nice and you can market them really well. And yes, of course, you're going to be able to develop this bone-crushing handshake. But if they were to work on doing some thick bar work, that would mean maybe you change up your regular deadlift work to axle deadlift. Mm-hmm. Maybe just do some holds with an axle. You can get that in the cage and just do some partials. I know that Big Loz that you've had on your podcast as well is a big fan of doing them behind the back and just really looping that bar onto his fingers and doing those super heavy as well. That's one of his favorites. Things like plate pinch, where you're basically just holding onto a 10, 15, 25, whatever kilo plate it is, and just doing rotations with it as a finisher. That pinch strength is really bloody useful for human beings. Builds a lot of tenderness strength around the digits. And then you've got to look at the way that the wrist has a huge amount of impact. So if you're not a professional arm wrestler, like Devon Larratt, who needs to have this formidable wrist and hand strength and health, then do you want to do some lever work? Do you want to try and get your wrist in a particular place, or do some isometric holds of a dumbbell where you're really working on that connection between your wrist and your fingers, being able to keep your wrist and hand in the position that you intended before the start of the exercise? It's so multifaceted that I could work on my thumb and forefinger. I could hook all of my fingers. I could grab hold of just two fingers. I could do a middle finger deadlift with a bar, because there are certain climbers like Alex, I always forget his surname, the one that's just gone up El Capitan for the first time in free solo. They're drilling in just their two digits into a surface of a brick wall that, how the hell are they holding on? They're holding on because they've practiced doing that thing numerous times and they've got really bloody strong fingers. Well, how many people work on individual fingers? I would suggest that it will come down to climbers, people in grip sport, or people that have suffered an injury or a problem with that finger that have then had to rehab it. So again, we're looking at what can you do for improving overall grip strength? Yes, it depends. It depends on what you want from it. And some of it isn't rocket science. If the deadlift is falling out of your hands and your hands are opening up, then why don't you actually just finish your sessions by just doing a few sets of just holds? Don't do it to the point of failure. Do it to the point of empowerment. Yeah. Do it. Oh my God, that makes me sound like bloody Tony Robbins, doesn't it? I need to stop using a different word. So I definitely don't want that reputation. But maybe you just do some sets on a particular day or every fortnight where you work with an axle. So you can really work on that as well. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy where you are the person's breaking out of your grip too often, you don't like it, well, throw that gi over a pull-up bar and just finish by just doing some hangs on the gi, or just doing some single arm hangs. Do some towel pull-ups. That is still going to be way more useful than you getting the gripper out that you'll find on Amazon and try and just squeeze out endless reps. Yeah. Yes, it's going to be better than doing nothing, But if you can make it skill and sport specific, that is going to trump everything.
Yeah.
That is your battle tank trump cards, and the turret is a meter longer than your opponent. You're going to blow them out of the water, and you'll blow your gains out of the water as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when obviously setting up the podcast and chatting about grip strength, it is one of those things where and you made the good point there. Oh, you're doing the pull-ups. Oh, we lats tiring. Oh no, my grip let me down. It is one of those things there where, like, yeah, exactly as you say, there is a lot more. One, like you said, it should be fun, but also, it will reap quite a lot of benefits. And there is more to grip strength than probably what people think. So yeah, a good answer to the grip strength. Obviously covered quite a lot of topics, a few tangents thrown in there as well. First of all, I really enjoyed chatting to you. There's quite a lot of things from there that have reiterated to me that I'm not going too far wrong, and as well some good reminders that from any coaches listening, that speak to the person as a human. And a big thing that a key word that I think we've said through this is empowering clients. For everyone listening who might want to follow or get in touch with the content that yourself and Commando Temple put out there, where can people find you and see the content that you put out there?
Sure. I mean, my Instagram profile is the luxurious silverback Blair, and you'll definitely see me on there. I think that is still an icon of a black and red gorilla. Just trying to put people off there from touching base and sending messages. It does look a little bit demon-like. And on Facebook, I think that's just under Rob Blair. The Commando Temple's website is bestronger.co.uk, and you'll see various things that we do. If I can finish there, Steve, with, even though you guys at home might not be able to see this, but from where I've been sat in my kitchen, I've got my kitchen light above my head, and it looks like I've got a halo directly above my skull. This wasn't meant to sound like I am the all-seeing eye and I've got eternal wisdom. It's not like that at all. Just remember that the most important thing is that you've just got to be interested in what you're doing and why, and just have an honest reflection of why you're doing it. If you can't have that with yourself, then just sit down with your buddies or your coach and just work out how you can just tweak the stuff that you already do, but just make it more complete. That would be the most useful thing to do.
Yeah. So I took the words out of my mouth. Then I was going to say, what would be your take-home points or words of wisdom? But actually, that was a nice way to finish.
Keep it really simple. That's what I'd say. Yeah, and have fun. Two things that are often overlooked. I completely agree with that. Keep it simple, and you've got to enjoy what you do. We'll do it more often, mate. We all do the things that we enjoy doing a lot more. Yeah. Whether that's eating pizza or whether it's doing deadlifts. Yeah. So it's our job.
Pizza and deadlifts. Combine the two. You don't know.
You could do the pizza deadlift workout. That would be one of those snake oil ones.
Thanks a lot for taking the time to chat with me. Really enjoyed picking your brains and hearing your thoughts. I hope everyone enjoyed that as much as I did. Thanks a lot for listening, and I will see you all next week.
Right. Cheers, Steve. Thanks a lot.